Hello, everybody. Joey back here again. Another session of deep questions. I'm posting these on the weekend, so you get some weekend of deep questions. And if you would like to answer these, feel free to leave your answers in the comments. I think that would be wonderful. But let's get started. This is part four, answering more deep questions that I found online. Where's one place you'd like to go that you haven't been? I would like to visit out west, some of the western states. I've never been that far west. I flew to Texas once, but it's been 25 years ago. So I really like to go out west. What do you want your final words to be? Um, End quote. Of course, I would have liked my first words to be quote. So let the newspaper people worry about that, right? Do you trust anyone in your life? Absolutely. A lot of people I trust. Um, Sometimes trust, a two-edged sword there. Maybe I should trust less, but yeah, there are a lot of people I trust in my life. What fictional character do you most relate to? Hmm, interesting. I'd be interested to know what other people think. I feel every time I see King of the Hill, I see myself partly as Bobby Hill growing up. Um, I don't know, a mix of different people. Um, Part Fraser Crane from Frasier and Cheers, part Jim Rockford from the Rockford Files, part Alex Rieger from Taxi. Part Jim Halpert from The Office. Sometimes Michael Scott from The Office. I see myself in a lot of fictional characters. What song makes you unconditionally sad? I've got to look up the name of it. Standing outside a broken phone booth with money in my hand by the Primitive Radio Gods. For some reason, hearing that song makes me emotional. In fact, I was listening, it's been many years ago now. Um, I was listening to Howard Stern, and he talked about when he was making his movie, Private Parts, he told the woman who played his wife that if she needed to, like, summon that emotion for a scene, to listen to that song. And man, I felt that. It's true to me. What is your favorite family tradition? So many of them. One I've been doing myself now for this year will be 17 years. I do Christmas Eve, I go out for breakfast. I've done years where it was just me. I've done years where it's been more than 20 people, but I really enjoy that. And then Christmas morning, as part of our breakfast, we've always had in my family. In fact, I did it here when we couldn't go home for Christmas last year. Is that part of breakfast we have oyster stew. So Those are some of my favorite family traditions. What scene in a movie has evoked the most feelings out of you? There are a couple in Forrest Gump that just came to me. The part where Forrest and Jenny reunite in the water in Washington, D.C., while he's speaking at the rally. And then when he is talking to Jenny's grave, and he breaks down talking about how young Forrest is so smart. Both of those get me. What is the first lie you ever told, and which is the biggest? I don't know about the first, but I'll tell you about the biggest, inadvertently, by the way. Several years ago, when my wife and I were just dating, she lived about 2 hours away from me, and there's a little gas station down the road from where she lived. And one day we were driving her car, and we pulled up. I got out to pump gas and finished pumping gas and put the gas hose back, and I walked around the front of the car to get back in the passenger side. She was driving. And as I came around the front, I pretended that she accidentally let go of the brake and accidentally hit me. So I was like all up on the hood, and then I kind of limped around to get in the car, and the woman who was working, and so it was like a little shack. I think you could get cigarettes there. That was just about it. You couldn't even get any snacks or anything to drink. They had a bunch of vending machines around the back if you wanted something to drink. She's looking out, and her eyes get this big, right? So for the next year, every time I went there, when I got out, I would start limping. And so one night, we lived 2 hours apart. We're doing our good night call. You know, how was your day? Just a quick check-in during the week. And as we're about to hang up, she said, you know what would be funny is, she reminded me of that, is if you made up a story, kind of like that, and if you told it to my mother, she just thought that would be the funniest thing if I got this outrageous story over on her mother. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll think about it. And then we hung up. And as I'm going to sleep, I said, you know, if I can fool her, we were dating my girlfriend, I can fool her mother. Two for the price of one. Because I didn't think anything of it, didn't say anything for a couple of weeks. And then she came to visit me one Saturday, and we went into Ollie's. It's this store that you can buy discounted items that didn't sell at regular stores. Ollie's buys them as, you know, big job lots, and you can go in there. And so we're perusing the books, and she was trying to get a bunch of books for her classroom. She's a teacher. And I just mentioned, just casually, I had gotten even though my ex-wife and I had been separated for that point 4 years, I had just actually physically gotten a divorce. I hadn't seen her in 3 years, but had just physically gotten a divorce. And so I made up this story that, yeah, you know, I just got a divorce, and it's actually a good time to be my ex-wife. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, my ex-wife's grandfather invented, now this is risque, so if you're watching this at work, hit pause and watch it later on, invented the modern version of the female vibrator. And I just went with it. And she's like, I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah. And before he passed away, he left this money and this proviso that she could get it when she reaches a certain age, and she's about to reach that age. And, well, how would you do this? I had an answer for everything that she asked me, and she kept saying, there's no way. Yeah, oh yeah, it's true. So we left Ollie's, and I think we got some ice cream somewhere, or milkshake, or something to drink somewhere, and we stopped. And she's been talking to her mom on there, and she's like, yeah, this is not true. And in between talking to her mom about different things, and she's so wrapped up in all of that, she missed the part where I admitted, yes, no, it's not true. I was trying to get one over on you. She didn't hear that part. So, a few days later, she then shares it with her entire family, including her grandfather, who we didn't know at the time, but we knew it was coming, was in the last few weeks of his life. So he was fascinated by this. He was asking questions, and they were Googling it. She's like, that's not true, and all of that. And she calls me up and she's yelling at me, I can't believe you told me this. And I'm like, I told you that it was not real, but you didn't hear that part. She just hears all the other stuff, and she complains about me not hearing her. She doesn't hear. And so you would think this is the end of it. No. So her grandfather passes away, and we all meet, how you meet, and you have visitation, and people come to the house and stuff. And there's a whole group of people around, and she has me tell this story. So it's like his wake, and I'm having to explain this to a bunch of people whom I don't really know everything that is happening, right? So that's the biggest lie I've ever told. If you could fly like a bird, where do you want to go? I would fly back and forth to see my family from North Carolina. If I could fly like a bird, just go back and forth, right? Do you have any recurring dreams or nightmares? Not really. I talked about this a couple of videos ago about I used to have a recurring dream or recurring nightmare when I was younger, but now not really. Now my subconscious or whatever is involved in the dream just picks out things I've been thinking of that day or things that have been happening to me and throws it kind of all together, and usually very interesting. I'm like, that was weird when I wake up. Is a life exclusive to pleasure, no suffering, worthwhile? It would probably be enjoyable for a while, but if you never went through any suffering, then the pleasure after a while, it's like if you love pizza. You can love pizza a lot, but if you had to, even if it's the best pizza in the world, if you had pizza every day, you get sick of it after a while. If you don't go through that suffering, then the life exclusive, when you get the pleasure, it makes it all more enjoyable experience, I believe. So, no, I don't think it would be worthwhile. I think you need that suffering every once in a while so that you can enjoy the pleasures of life. So, that's 11 more questions. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to share, comment, like, subscribe, and go out and make it a great day.